Hello, my friends. Welcome to another episode of Deep True Crime, where we dive deep into past cases and many times current cases and see what went wrong in that picture. Did they trust the wrong person? Because here is the truth. You never know who you can trust. You can fall in love with a killer. You can fall in love with someone who takes your life. And that's exactly the story we have for you today. This is part 4 of the case against Barry Morphew. You see, his wife Suzanne Morphew went missing on May 10th of 2020. That was a Mother's Day. She's not been seen since. He has since been charged for her murder because they truly believe she's nowhere. She's gone. She does not exist anymore. She has been killed. They truly believe that. And in today's episode, I'm going to be going over the evidence against Barry Morphew. I'll be right back. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back, my friends. This is part 4 of the case against Barry Morphew. We have been sharing different things about what they have against him. We talked about the initial scene as to where they found her bike and everything leading up to it. The second video was the affair she had, and she tried to leave Barry. She wanted to get a divorce from Barry. And then our most recent one, part 3, was Barry's initial statement to FBI, to the Colorado Bureau of Investigation, to special agents, and we've shared that. And in this part, we're going to talk about the evidence that they have against Barry. And as I'm going through this evidence, I'm going to share with you what is the most important part. They got so much here. I don't know that I'm going to go through every single piece of evidence, but I will share with you the most important ones that you should know about. And so let's talk about these tire impressions that they have. On May 14th of 2020, search teams located tire impressions in the area where Suzanne's helmet was located. The GPS coordinates that were right around that county road that we've been talking about over the last few days. On the same date, the tire impressions were casted by agents with the Colorado Bureau of Investigation for late possible comparisons. And the detective Julian, they advised Special Agent Grusin that on August 26 of 2020, that only one tire impression was suitable for testing. Now, what does that lead to? Well, there is some discrepancies as to, did he get his tire changed after these facts, after this whole incident? Well, you'll learn more about that as well. But tire impressions is one of the things that they have as evidence. Another piece of evidence that they have is the Ford F-350 telematics. On May 14th of 2020, they prepared a search warrant for the data from Barry's F-350 truck. They got a warrant for the telematic data, which describes what this truck was doing, when it was doing, and all the computer data from it. On that same date of May 14th of 2020, they submitted a search warrant, affidavit, and service request form to the Rocky Mountain Regional Computer Forensic Laboratory so that they can get the results from this truck. The results of this data, we're going to talk about this a little later when we talk about the search of Barry's phone. So they have his Ford F-350 telematics, the data from his F-350. That is another piece of evidence. What other evidence do they have? Well, they did a search of his residence on May 20th of 2020. The search efforts, they were still ongoing at the Morphew residence. They were searching for evidence that was related to Suzanne's disappearance. And on this date, detective located a writing pen. Looked just like a pen, but it appears to be the spy pen that Sheila Oliver had referenced she gave to Suzanne to record these conversations with Barry. This pen, it was located in a clothing bin that was amongst bras. And the cloth bin and pen were inside the walk-in closet in the master bedroom located on the ground level of the residence. Detective Julian located with the pen. They found the controller, they found headphones for playback, and a USB cable that goes to that unit. And so there was some data retrieved off of this spy pen recording. On May 23rd of 2020, Detective Julian transported the seized memos audio recording pen to the Colorado Springs Police Department digital forensic units so they can do their studies around this. Colorado Springs Police Department Detective Brian Rogers, he conducted the search and data recovery of the memo's pen's content. Now, some of the audio files on the pen were deleted. However, 2 of those deleted audio files were retrieved during the search and analysis by Detective Rogers. And so on May 24th of 2020, Detective Julian started reviewing the audio on the recording pen, the spy pen. And the recordings appear to run from February 2020 through March of 2020. So basically only about a month. And this was based upon the context of this. Detective Julian gathered the following information around this pen. Suzanne communicated with 2 different male voices. One self-identified as Barry, and the other was identified by Suzanne's Jeff, which we now know as Jeff Libler, the man she was having an affair with. One of 2 conversations between Suzanne and Jeff sounded to be of an intimate nature. The conversation between Suzanne and Barry, now that one is very confrontational and their voices are raised like they're in an argument. Under a file number 3/22/2020, which is the date, Suzanne appears to place her recording pen in the truck of Barry as he took a trip to Pueblo, Colorado. The pen recorded him listening to multiple episodes of forensic files, to include the killings of Mary Lee Wilson and Donna Payant by Lemuel Smith, and the murder of Vicki Lynn Hoskinson, who went missing after riding her bike. That is definitely a comparison to Suzanne, who went missing after riding her bike. Now, granted, everyone who's been following this case and thinks that Barry did something, do not believe that she actually was riding her bike. Because here's the truth. He says she might have left home that morning. But most of the time, she actually packed her bike in her vehicle and went somewhere. And you can see by a lot of her Instagram photos where she took pictures of it, there are no photos the day that she went missing. So if she went for a mountain bike ride, she didn't take any pictures. She took pictures on basically every bike ride she went with. Hoskinson's, the case that he was listening to, the murder of Vicki Lynn Hoskinson, Hoskinson's sister finds the bike and discussed it was found in the middle of the road. The case began as a missing child. Her family pleaded on TV for her return. Discussion also included the location of Hoskinson's body in Tucson being a remote location, and how animals had scavenged her bones, and investigators trying to determine when she was killed. Now, when you saw the video that I share where Barry pulls up in the truck, one of the very first things he asks is, did a lion get her? Was it a mountain lion? Maybe he got that idea from this Forensic Files episode that he was listening to. So Barry, according to this spy pen, further listened to the forensic file case of Walter Scott. Walter Scott was a man that went missing but was later determined to be a homicide victim of James Williams. Now, Scott was married to Joanne. He had an affair with a woman named Suzanne. Meanwhile, Joanne was cheating with a man named James Williams. Williams killed his first wife, staged a car accident, and married Joanne after killing Scott. Walter also reported to be acting not himself in the days prior to his disappearance. A phone call is recorded between Barry and Suzanne in which Suzanne calls Barry Shirley. That's his mother's name. After he tells her how to cook. You know, it's one of those things like, okay, Shirley, being just like your mom, trying to tell me how to cook. Barry asked Suzanne why she has to be so mean to him. Much of the conversation is unintelligible. You could really understand every single word because of the truck noise. Barry, he listened to other Forensic Files episodes of homicide investigations during the 5-hour recording session. And the pen, it did record an argument with Barry. Sergeant Julian and FBI agents Stephanie Benitez and Kenneth Harris, the three of them listened to the recordings on the spy pen, and they collaborated with the forensic laboratory that I mentioned earlier. They were trying to collaborate in order to attempt to mitigate the background noises that interfered with the audio. But here is what they did get out of it that was relevant. In March of 2020, Suzanne told Barry the following: "This is all I hear every day. This is all I hear every day. What I'm not, what I should think. I am not listening to that anymore. Listen to me. Listen to me," Barry interrupting. "Listen to me. Listen to me. I have lived for years being told how I should feel, how I should act, how I should look, what I should drink, what I shouldn't drink, what I should put in my body, what I shouldn't put in my body. I fell into this. This is not, couldn't really quite understand what she was saying there. That was undecipherable, but continues, controlling, more talking. It's not okay, front and back. These are the things that they were able to get out of it. Little hard to understand in some cases, but you can tell that she's saying to Barry that I have to hear this all the time. Basically, Barry controlling her, how she lives her life. She was done with that. She didn't want to deal with that anymore. And so later in the conversation, Suzanne and Barry were arguing. And it kind of goes back and forth like this, with Suzanne stating, "You want me to just." Now Barry replies, "No, I am just asking you to." She says, "Blindly go into this." Barry says, "You don't have to blindly do anything. I'll make plenty of money this year to pay you back." Suzanne says, "I don't want to talk about it since you yelled at me the other day." Barry says, "Okay, I will make plenty of money this year, this summer, to pay you back, probably within a month. This is something that I told you that was important and you decided to go against my wishes." That's what Barry's talking about. Now, it should be known that she actually got an inheritance from like an aunt and a family. I think when her mom passed, she got an inheritance, so she had some money, and I'm guessing this is some of what they're talking about. Suzanne later stated, "It's all about money." Then she added, 80% of our arguments are about money. She added, "It's money. It's about money." At 1 hour and 17 minutes into this recording, Barry stated, "If you want your money, I'm going to pay you back. I'm going to make plenty of money, and I told you it was important. You decided to go against my will and my wishes." Suzanne responded with the words to the effect of, "Not against it. You brought it up and we talked about it." I mean, some people have their own money, but I would think if she has money, don't they have money? But you'll also find that people were writing him checks that had nothing to do with her. They would write it directly to him or to the business, and it basically was. So there's a lot to this story. The pen recorded Suzanne's conversations with Jeff. Special Agent Harris provided the following synopsis on Suzanne's recording with Jeff that occurred during her February 2020 trip to Florida. Now, in some cases, this was a little hard to hear in some places, but this is kind of the gist of what they were getting, okay? Jeff is driving north on 75 during their conversation. Jeff talks about potential job and says he can't take it. Suzanne asks why and mentions the weather in Michigan in February. Interstate 75 does travel north-south through Michigan. Jeff and Suzanne appear to be talking possibly about trying to meet up around Valentine's Day. Suzanne seems to reference being sure that Barry would be at home at the time and would not show up. Now, there is a reference in the Suzanne and Jeff conversation to Tuesday the 11th and Valentine's Day as if they are still coming up and possibly talking about or making plans for those dates. Now, February 11th of 2020 was a Tuesday. At 9:08 p.m., Suzanne takes a call on speakerphone and she stated, "Hi, sweetie, I'm good. How about you?" Suzanne and the male, presumably Jeff, discuss her trip in Florida. She later stated that Barry was flying to Florida and she thought, "It's just weird stuff. This whole Valentine's Day," couldn't quite understand every single thing, but I was kind of happy to hear that because maybe we are in the clear to meet and not get busted. Jeff replied, "Well, like I said, I don't want it to be a stressful thing. I just don't." Suzanne stated, "Jeff, come on. I'm the one who started the whole ball rolling." She added, "I mean, there's a lot that went on last week that I haven't told you about, and not good stuff. So I really think he feels bad about that too. You're not a homewrecker. You are my lover and my sweet friend and the man I love dearly, okay?" She says that to Jeff. Those exact words. And Jeff stated, "I won't. I just want you to be happy. That's all." Suzanne replies, "I'm looking at the man who makes me happy." I'm just going to speculate here. I feel like Jeff was struggling with this affair because of his family, because of he has a lot of kids. He didn't want to let them down, but he did have some strong feelings for Suzanne. I don't think they were strong enough for him to want to leave his family, though. And I don't think that it was really ever going to come down to that. Again, I'm just speculating in reference to the way this conversation seems to be going. But again, unless you hear the tone, you know how text can be misread, right? So that is a little harder to assume. Next piece of evidence, the tranquilizer. We talked about that as well. See, on May 19th of 2020, Chaffee County Sheriff Office Deputy Scott Himshoot was present during the search at Puma Path residence. And in the laundry room, he was there and he was asked to collect a new dart box. Empty. They told him to get one that's empty. One plastic hypodermic cover, one new dart book from safe and garage, one dart from box on the bench and garage, among other items. The plastic cover was located by evidence search teams in the dryer inside of the sheets belonging to one of the daughter's bed. These items were sent to the CBI laboratory for testing. So that too is part of the evidence. Another piece of evidence is the search at County Road 105. On May 22nd of 2020, search teams along with K9s and K9 handlers, Bloodhound Man Trackers Necro Search, which was a part of this. They were the handlers of the K9. They searched the property at 6962 County Road 105. Now, this was a site where Barry had been conducting earthwork since April 2020. A local resident had reported heavy machinery being used late at night on Saturday, May 9th, 2020, the night before she was reported missing. So this is definitely a big deal. During this search, 3 K9s were ran blindly and individually across the property. NecroSearch and the FBI Evidence Response Team worked with Chaffee County Sheriff's Office and Colorado Bureau of Investigation to remove portions of the poured concrete slab and search through the new construction. On May 23rd, 2020, a second excavation was conducted at the property in attempts to find the remains of Suzanne. Results were negative. That is definitely part of the evidence, but if they don't really find much, how much evidence can there really be in that matter? right? Okay, let's talk about the next piece of evidence because the timing of this is weird. The Facebook friend request. The sworn officer received the Facebook business records for the account of Suzanne Morphew. And so FBI Special Agent Grusing, who we've talked about quite a bit, and FBI Staff Operations Specialist, SOS, Robert Boss, reviewed the results and what went around there. So they found that 20 males, 3 of them with the first name Jeff, though Jeff Libler was not on the list, and 3 females were new friends added. They were new friends that were added to Suzanne's Facebook account between Friday, May 8th at 9:04 a.m. through Saturday, May 9th, 2020 at 6:01 p.m. The question is, was that Suzanne that did it or did Barry do that? Okay, we're gonna continue to learn more, obviously. From a cursory review of Suzanne's account dating back to January 1st of 2020, these friend requests were out of the norm for Suzanne. Though Suzanne received over 20 friend requests from others in 2020, her Facebook account profile initiated no friend requests until May 8th. That's a little odd. The defense attorney can say, well, we know she had an affair with Jeff Libler. Maybe she was looking to do more. That's the thing, is they got to be prepared for both sides of this argument. They have to be prepared for both sides. But though Suzanne received over 20 friend requests from others in 2020, her Facebook account profile initiated no friend requests until May 8th. And then all of a sudden she's sending all these friend requests to males. Of the 23 people who received Suzanne's request, none were able to confirm with Suzanne that it was actually her who sent the request. FBI and Chaffee County Sheriff's Office, they interviewed over 10 of these recipients, most of whom live in Indiana. Derek Thurston, who received the request from Suzanne's account on May 10th at 10:12 a.m., said he knew Suzanne from junior high and high school in Alexandria, but was not a close friend of hers. Thurston did think it was odd that Suzanne decided to send the friend request after not talking to him in over 25 years. He added that she did not seem like the type of person who was desperate to friend people whom she did not know well. Now, let's talk about Bobby Huff, who became Facebook friends with Suzanne on May 9th, the morning of May 9th, 9:33 a.m. He graduated with Barry from Alexandria Monroe High School in Alexandria, Indiana. Huff has not talked to Barry or Suzanne since 1985. Now, Huff stated that Suzanne would never see me and friend me on Facebook. That was his opinion. Huff explained that her sending of the invitation felt weird to him and not something Suzanne would do after such a long time of not speaking, especially the day before she disappeared. Now, this was weird, but he's speaking for her. I don't think that's much credibility there because you don't know her. You make it very clear you haven't talked to her since 1985, so how would you know that? So that's my speculation about it. Now, Huff added that many rumors were flying around Alexandria that Suzanne and Barry were not happy in their marriage, that Barry was in financial trouble, and that he was involved in shady business dealing. That was a rumor that was going around Alexandria, where they're from. Now, Shane Phipps, he became Facebook friends with Suzanne on May 8th, 2020, at 9:08 p.m. Now, Phipps said that he did not know Suzanne because she was younger than him. But he and Barry knew each other from the high school, from Alexandria Monroe High School. Since Phipps was 1 year older than Barry, he remembers Barry. Now, Wade Pulliam called the Suzanne Morphew tip line. He wanted to report receiving a Facebook request from Suzanne on Friday, May 8th at 10:05 in the morning, which he found strange because he has not spoken with her in 30 plus years. It's a long time. Now, Ricky King became Facebook friends with Suzanne on May 9th, 2020 at 9:31 a.m. King had his phone with him when he received the friend request on that Saturday, May 9th. He accepts the friend request, though he had no real contact with Suzanne or Barry since high school. King described the friend request as strange, considering the timing and the fact that he did not know Suzanne or Barry well. So those are some strange occurrences around these friend requests to these men right around the time she disappears. Let's be real, that is a little strange. The next piece of evidence, the Range Rover, was seized. Now the Range Rover, that is Suzanne's main vehicle that she rode all the time. But there were two Range Rovers located in the garage. So on May 16th, they seized the two Range Rovers that were located in the garage at the Morphew's residence. Both vehicles were towed and taken to the Chaffee County Sheriff's Office secure impound facility to secure them for further evidence processing. And on May 20th, service guy, mainly writing up the affidavit, spoke with Special Agent David Donati regarding the 2007 Range Rover and the 2015 Range Rover Telematics. And so Special Agent Donati, he explained that the 2007 Range Rover would not contain telematic information, but the 2015 may contain the data. 2007, that was a long time ago. I don't even know that they were doing that back then. On April 29th of 2021, Special Agent Grusing advised that the results of the examination by the FBI Technology Division for the 2015 Range Rover had not been completed yet, so they don't really have all the information at the time of this affidavit. So FBI Special Agent Grusing, along with computer scientist Brian Turner and cast agent Hoyland, along with personnel. So you had some FBI agent, you had computer scientists, and you had someone else, a cast agent, and all of them were getting together along with personnel from the forensic laboratory. They examined Barry's cell phone. And Special Agent Grusing wrote the following regarding Barry's cell phone contents as it relates to Suzanne's disappearance. From 5:41 p.m. on Friday, May 8th, 2020 through Sunday, May 10th, all 11 calls between Barry and Suzanne are outgoing from Barry to Suzanne. Out of 58 voicemails on Barry's phone, none are from Suzanne. Now, Barry, he deleted numerous calls between himself and Suzanne from May 4th through May 5th, 2020. And again, this is about 5 to 6 days before she went missing. Now, when he was asked by FBI agents in April 2021 why he deleted those calls, he said he did not recall doing so and must have been doing it to free up space on his phone. Now, on January 7th of 2020, his phone searched how to make a girl orgasm YouTube. And this was recovered from deleted web searches on Barry's phone. His phone also searched older man, younger woman relationships YouTube. This was also recovered from deleted web searches. This don't make him a killer, but a short one, it makes you question his motive. On January 8th, 2020, Barry's phone searched the Facebook help page. I can't reset my Facebook password because I can't access the email or mobile phone number on my account. This too was deleted from his web searches on Barry's phone. This I can't reset my Facebook password because I can't access the email or mobile phone number on my account, the help center, Facebook help center. This references the password reset on Suzanne's iPhone on the night of May 8th. And we'll talk about that when we get to Barry's phone section for May 8th. But these two do go together because there were some things that were done on her phone, like if she had forgot her Facebook password, and we'll talk about that here shortly. So he did that search as well On January 25th of 2020, Barry's phone accessed local snapsext.com. Also, find a cute girl near Salida and come get dirty, something after that is redacted, along with other such sites that were recovered from deleted web searches. So that too don't look good, but it doesn't make him a killer. When Barry was asked by the Colorado Bureau of Investigation if he ever searched online to meet other women, he said, no, never. He added, absolutely not, never. On March 19th of 2020 at 6:44 a.m. in the morning, a video on Barry's phone was taken of a prescription drug bottle of Suzanne Morphew. And in the interview that Barry had with CBI on June 2nd of 2020, he stated that Suzanne was abusing her prescription pills. So this must be why he took pictures of it, right? And on April 24th of 2020, Suzanne sent Barry the following message that was recovered from deleted images by the forensic lab. And it says, one of these deleted texts, oh, I'm sure your mistress has you all happy now so you can say you love me, but bully me when you're with me. Yeah, that's love. Well, he obviously must have been having mistresses or looking for mistresses. The forensic laboratory examiner, Jim Stevens, he found the above image as one that Barry likely swiped the message off his screen and the swiped image was saved. I didn't know the phone can do that. This message was not recovered separately in Suzanne's iCloud storage or on Barry's phone. So it looks like it was just a screenshot that I don't know why it wouldn't be on there though. So, this is news to me in the learning process. And so on May 4th of 2020, Barry made an outgoing call to Suzanne that lasted 3 seconds. This was the first logged call in Barry's phone to or from Suzanne since February 7th of 2020. That's about 3 months that they didn't call each other. That's odd. But maybe it just wasn't recovered. An additional 6 calls incoming and outgoing between Suzanne and Barry were made that day until 6:07 p.m., which is odd because Suzanne's Verizon records, however, account for 8 calls between her and Barry that morning instead of 6 throughout the day. Why the discrepancy? You'll have to ask Verizon, or why it wasn't recovered. On May 6th of 2020, Barry called Suzanne 6 consecutive times between the morning of 8:06 a.m. and 8:13 a.m. before she sent the aforementioned "I'm done, let's handle this civilly." This message was at 10:13 a.m. That message was recovered from the forensic lab as a deleted image from Barry's phone. On May 6th of 2020, from 2:43 to 5 p.m. during that little time frame, Suzanne received 4 messages. These were deleted from Barry's phone prior to seizure of his phone on May 13, 2020, because they took his phone like 3 days after she went missing. And it referenced, like, he wrote this to her: when I'm dead, going to see my savior, and this life on earth is a mere grain of sand compared to eternity. Like, he was thinking about committing suicide because she's threatening to leave him. And so, again, 4 days before she went missing. This is where it's really odd. Like, it's hard to believe he doesn't know more. The timing on this could not be worse for him if he is innocent. And so the location activities registered by his phone were abnormally high in frequency during the late nights and early morning hours of May 8th through the 9th of 2020 and May 9th through the 10th while at the Morphew residence. And so on May 8th of 2020, Barry's phone called Suzanne while his phone was likely traveling west along US 50. Now, Suzanne's phone location was approximately 3 miles east of his phone. And this call lasted 73 seconds and was the last recorded phone call for any of the 2 devices on May 8th. Now, Friday, May 8th, a little later in the evening, his phone registered its last event of the day. Its next event was in the morning, May 9th, when his phone registered power on. And this was around 6:46 a.m. And that same time, Barry's phone was taken out of airplane mode. Now, truth is, the airplane mode, this is a setting that is available on smartphones and other portable devices. And when this is activated, this mode suspends the device's signal transmission technologies like Bluetooth and Wi-Fi, and it'll disable all voice, text, and phone messages. Now, sometimes the GPA will be disabled, but sometimes it's not disabled as well. And so on May 9th, 2020, in the morning, his phone registered locations at his Tailwinds work site near Poncha Springs. During that time, Suzanne's phone exchanged messages with her friend Sheila Oliver right around that 7:35 a.m. And Greg Fisher accepted her friend request at 7:30 in the morning. Now, Fisher, he tells FBI that he thought Suzanne's Facebook had been hacked, and he checked her account online upon receiving the request. Now, Fisher, he said he is a close friend of Gene Moorman, Suzanne's father, and said it didn't seem like her to send him the request. But if she's on her phone messaging with Sheila Oliver, depending on what those phones are, whether it was Barry or her communicating with him, this was May 9th, early morning. And so, as we know, she's still alive at this time. She's still known. But she would have known if there was a friend request accepted, right? But the phone was located at the Morphew residence per cellular analysis survey team. On May 9th, 2020, in the morning, Ricky King and Bobby Huff accepted Suzanne's friend request on Facebook. Now, Huff tells FBI that he did not think Suzanne sent the request, that she would never see me and friend me, which these people being surprised that they got friend requests also doesn't look great for Barry, but it doesn't mean he did anything wrong there. Barry's phone continued to receive messages from Suzanne's phone and send messages to her phone while he was at County Road 105 site. And so on May 9th at 9:50, Suzanne, she texts Barry, "Want to hike?" At 10:36, Suzanne texts Barry again, "Want to hike?" And then he finally responds 12 minutes later, "No, I'll come home." On May 9th as well, at 11:14 a.m., Suzanne's phone received a second password reset message from Facebook shortly after 11:15 a.m. Now, at this time, Barry's phone traveled west on Highway 50, arriving at their residence at around 11:27 a.m. Now, both phones, according to the cellular analysis survey team, appeared to be at the residence from 11:30 through 1:40, which means that she must have still been alive, as far as I'm understanding this. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments. What do you think in reference to that? Was it Barry? Was it her? At this stage, I'm saying it was her, okay? So both phones were at the residence from 11:30 through 1:40. I would think they can tell whether her phone was at home in the morning when she was messaging. So probably has that, but not worth putting in here. Now, Barry's phone exchanged 2 messages with Tim Backhoe at 1:49 p.m. and 1:50 p.m. Barry also made an outgoing call to Suzanne for 2 seconds at 1:51. And this was his 10th of 11 consecutive calls to Suzanne. Now, on May 9th in the afternoon, Barry texted Suzanne, "Done, headed back." And at 2:31, Barry texts Suzanne, "Did you leave?" And by 2:43, Barry's phone and F350 per Telematics appear to be at the Morphew residence. And so on May 9th, Barry's phone appears to enter airplane mode again. And at one time he says that, I don't know, I must have pressed it by mistake, but it's happening often. Granted, I too have hit that button and not noticed at all and realized, oh man, no wonder I'm not getting any messages. I've done that by mistake. So this very well could have happened. He's probably done it before and also knew to use it as an excuse, right? On May 9th, later on that night, about 8.5 hours later, 7.5 hours later, an airplane mode off event started on Barry's phone, and the phone was then powered on at 4:32 a.m. the next day. So again, May 9th at 10:17 p.m., an airplane mode off event started on Barry's phone, and the phone was then powered on at 4:32, meaning that he must have turned the phone off at that night, turned it back on 4:32 a.m. on May 10th. Now, that May 9th through 10th, 2020 night, approximately 210 locations for Barry's phone registered near Morphew residence, compared to 0 to 2 locations on previous nights from May 1st through May 8th. Basically saying high activity of him being all over. And it almost sounds like, according to many, maybe he was chasing her around because she knew her life was in jeopardy. Again, speculation. I'm just speculating. I don't know. I'm just guessing. But before that, on the previous nights from May 1st through May 8th, 0 to 2 location. May 9th through 10th of that night of the disappearance, approximately 210 locations for his phone registered near the resident. Again, that's a red flag. That is very odd. But again, doesn't mean he killed her. That's why I'm like, these prosecutions going to have their hands full. On May 10th, 2020, Barry's phone display came on and his device was unlocked at 3:56 in the morning. On May 10th, again, from 3:25 for the next about 23 minutes, the Ford F-350 registered 0 mile per hour with GPS at Morphew residence as the doors opened and closed multiple times. And Special Agent Hoyland noted over 80 events involving the F-350 during this time frame. During this time frame, the data from his F-350 is showing a lot of activity, and mostly with the doors opening and closing numerous times. And the location data for Suzanne's phone last registered with a tower near the Morphew residence at 4:23 a.m. Again, he says she was sleeping that morning, okay? But sometimes our phone can get a tower that may not be right here, may not be my closest tower, okay? So that's not too much out of the ordinary, but they probably still have to document this. And so the next piece of evidence is Broomfield surveillance video, Barry's Ford F-350, and Barry's phone. See, video footage was collected by the CBI from the Holiday Inn Express, and the following timeline events include the surveillance videos, telematics of Barry's truck, and his phone activities to provide his actions on May 10th. At 8:14 a.m., Barry's phone was at the Holiday Inn Express. At 8:41, Barry texts Suzanne, "I made it to Broomfield. Call me when you get a chance." At 8:46, Barry walked into the hotel carrying 2 white trash bags, a khaki backpack, a pair of boots, a dark colored item, and a piece of clothing with blue teal color. At 10:06, Barry exits his hotel room. He was carrying the charcoal long-sleeved shirt and 2 white bags and a pair of boots. At 10:20 a.m., the location of Barry's phone was near the lot of McDonald's at 625 Interlochen Boulevard. This image you see here on the screen. At 10:22, the driver's door of the F-350 opened in the rear parking space of the same McDonald's, according to the truck telematics. Now, Barry is seen on video provided to CBI from the First National Bank located adjacent to the McDonald's lot. He is carrying unknown items in his hand and placing items into two separate trash cans located on the edge of the McDonald's lot. Now, from the bank video, Barry exits the truck, walked to a trash can while he held an unknown smaller object in his left hand and possibly his right hand. He placed something in the can, extended his right arm downward into the can, and walked back to the open driver's door. Now, Barry was oriented towards the inside of the driver's door and the driver's side floor for the next few frames. He walked to the trash can, possibly with an item in his right hand, extended his right arm into the can, then placed both hands and arms into the can, like this, into the can. Barry returns to the truck, oriented to the inner portion of the driver's side door. After a few frames, he turned with his hands together and walked to a trash can across the lot. He returns to his truck and drives away. Now, on April 22nd of 2021, FBI agents show Barry these photos. These photos you see, I know it's not the clearest, but these photos that you see on the screen, he is shown this. From 10:47 a.m. to 11:18 a.m., the location of Barry's phone was in or beside the lot of Men's Warehouse over there on Crossing Drive in Broomfield, Colorado. From 10:50 a.m. to 11:17, the driver and passenger doors of the F-350 were opened and closed at least 7 times in the parking lot near the Men's Warehouse. When Barry is shown these overhead photos of him being at this site, he said, could not recall. That's literally his response. Why he was there or what he threw away. Clueless. He has no clue as to why he would have been there. At 11:23, the locations of Barry's phone and truck were at the Holiday Inn Express. Now, at 11:36, Barry walks into the hotel lobby wearing a black t-shirt, carrying under his left arm a black binder and disorganized papers. At 11:56, Barry exits his room wearing a white shirt and carrying the binder with the paper. And he walks to his truck at 11:57 a.m. Now you can see on this screen where he has two different shirts on during this. And the first photo, it shows Barry walking toward his room. The second is him walking away approximately 19 minutes later wearing a different shirt. He provided varying statements to CBI and FBI about these photos. Again, once confronted with evidence, he changes his story. Now, his phone was around the noonish time that day. His phone was near the Via Vara worksite for the wall. From 12:28 to 29, the location of Barry's phone was at the Holiday Inn Express. And telematics of the F-350 also registered the driver door opening and closing multiple times in the hotel lot. At 12:36, Barry arrives at the hotel parking lot in his truck. He got out of the truck and carried one white trash bag, larger in size than the previous bags, in one hand. In the other hand, he carried a black container along with a green item, possibly a piece of clothing. Later on, at about 12:38, he placed bags, a black container, and clothing from his truck beside the curb near the hotel lobby, as the photos you can see here. He then walks to his trucks, appeared to pick up a small item from inside, picked up the trash bag, coat, and container, and walked towards the dumpster at the end of the lot. And at 12:41, Barry walked back across the lot towards the hotel lobby with nothing in his hand, as you can see by the picture on the screen. And so he enters the hotel room shortly after, and he does not leave his room until 6:03 p.m. Now, on April 22nd of 2021, they asked Barry why he did not park near the dumpster to throw away these items and said he did not recall. In March 2021, agents showed Barry photos of him carrying a camouflage coat, a black tree container, and a bag across the hotel lot and asked him what items were in the bag and why he was throwing those items away. He did not provide detail and could not recall the item. How convenient. So now we get a little closer to the important phone calls where it's like, At 3:30, Barry sent an outgoing message to Suzanne, call me. At 5:15, he receives an incoming call from Jeannie Ritter. 30 minutes later, after that, he receives another incoming call from Jeannie and Martin, the husband of Jeannie Ritter. And at 5:57, the telematics of the F-350 registered his GPS coordinates of the truck at the Holiday Inn parking lot. The previous GPS coordinates for the F-350 registered at 12:28, meaning like he just stayed in one place. At 6:03, he exits his hotel room wearing a black shirt with khaki backpack on his back. 2 minutes later, he makes an outgoing call to Martin Ritter. And at 6:06, Barry pulled his truck in front of the hotel and walked into the lobby before walking back out of the hotel lobby at 6:08. At 6:09, he makes an outgoing call to Morgan Gentile. He sends her a message at 3:30, sends Suzanne a message at 3:30, call me. At 5:15, he gets an incoming call from Jeannie Ritter. He receives another incoming call 30 minutes later. And his truck has him at the hotel for the last 5 hours. He exits the room and he makes an outgoing call to Martin Ritter. The question is, in all this time, he does not call Suzanne. They call him to say, hey, we don't know where your wife's at. But he doesn't call Suzanne himself to see, are you okay? Where are you? At 6:10, he enters the lobby carrying 2 shovels and places them beside the front desk. He makes subsequent trips placing more tools in the same spot. Might have everything to do with why he called Morgan Gentile at 6:09, and then boom, a minute later, he's bringing all this stuff in. And so at 6:12, he leaves the hotel lot in his truck. At 6:20, he makes an outgoing call to one of his daughters. At 7:10, he receives an incoming call from Chaffee County Sheriff's Office. Finally, at 7:21, he finally makes an outgoing call to Suzanne. If someone tells me my wife is missing, I'm going to call her over and over and over. Sometimes she'll go to a location and I'm like, man, she should have been there by now. I'm blowing her phone up, making sure she got there safe. This guy waited hours to call Suzanne. Now, this call to Suzanne was his first outgoing communication to her after learning she was possibly missing. This was following the 5:15 call from Ritter. He makes no independent effort to determine whether she was simply not answering the phone due to poor cell service before he abandoned his work project, staged the tools in the lobby, and left town. The call was not answered. The location of Barry's phone was on Highway 285, which was approximately 75 miles from Broomfield. That is some discrepancy there. And at 7:33, the Chaffee County Sheriff Office dispatch calls Barry and informed him in a call that lasted 1 minute and 32 seconds that Suzanne's bike was found. When asked to describe the bike, Barry did not know the make but said it was blue with colorful pedal. And he started crying, asked, they found a bike? He said he was heading that way and asked, did they find the phone? Okay. Now notice he asked, they found a bike? Question that. Did they find the phone? Okay. Didn't ask, did they find Suzanne? Did not ask, you found a bike? Did you find Suzanne? He asked, did you find the phone? That's a little odd. And so at about 10:30 that night, Morgan Gentile arrives at the Holiday Inn Express and checks into Barry's room. She's supposed to be staying there. I don't know if him and Morgan have something going on. I don't know. We'll find out more later. I've not dug deep into who the new girlfriend is. If they were having an affair, according to Morgan, no, they were not. But of course, we'll find out more. And so Suzanne's Verizon phone records come back, and per location coordinates on Suzanne's Verizon account, Special Agent Grusing determined that she traveled to Florida, staying in various hotels in Naples and Marco Island between January 31st, 2020 and February 16, 2020. She communicated primarily with Sheila Oliver, Barry, Gene Moorman, and Kurt Sigler. And on May 5th, 2020, Suzanne's texts and locations confirmed her trip to Gunnison, where she dropped off one of the kids, so that the ones that went camping, there was both daughters and a friend. She dropped them off so they can all travel together. And on May 6th of 2020 at about 8:44 in the morning, Suzanne sent a text to one of the kids, "Good morning, I miss you already." Her next message was to Barry at 10:13 a.m. stating, "I'm done. I could care less what you're up to and have been for years. We just need to figure this out civilly." That was May 6, 2020. And on May 6th of 2020, again, Barry sent her the suicide text that I mentioned earlier, which he deletes from his phone. And on May 7th as well, Suzanne messaged Barry and she says, "Been studying all afternoon. I'm gonna bike now. I've got veggie soup on for supper." Again, she wasn't known to go for bike rides in the morning, but yet he says she went for a bike ride in the morning. But hey, sometimes I go at night. I have gone in the morning sometime. And so on May 8th of 2020, Suzanne's notes folder was last backed up, where she articulated over 50 grievances against Barry, one of which refers to Barry accusing her on May 6th of having a boyfriend. And on May 8th, as we're getting closer to this, Suzanne sent Barry the message, "Sorry, I forgot about Rob Mazzell last night, but I will continue to do your invoicing when you need to." Now, this text of Suzanne's offer to continue to do your invoicing, and this follows her May 6th text request to handle this civilly, because she wanted to keep doing what she was doing. She didn't want to interrupt business, and this and her numerous attempts to separate from Barry. Her subsequent text to her sister Melinda indicates she let the mistreatment continue for too long and she was moving in a different direction. Now, when FBI agents showed Barry these text messages during the interview in 2021, he said he did not think Suzanne was serious. Well, I guess that when you text suicide notes, you didn't think she would take it serious, I guess. On May 8th, that morning, when Suzanne messaged Melinda, her sister, she says, "It's hard dealing with the harsh abrasiveness and having to show respect. He's also been abusive emotionally and physically." Now, let's talk about Suzanne's Instagram account. Special Agent Grusing interviewed Robin Binford, and this is a friend of Suzanne's from Indiana. And Special Agent interviewed Robin on June 30th of 2020. And Binford has known Suzanne since middle school and was her close friend through high school. She and Suzanne have consistently communicated through Facebook and Instagram over the years. Binford stated that she had some problems with the way Suzanne supposedly went missing based upon Suzanne's normal routines. And Suzanne used Instagram's story to take photos to document each of her bike rides. And Binford said that upon hearing that Suzanne went missing, right away she checked Instagram and found that Suzanne did not post anything about the ride. Because again, she did it almost every ride. Binford knew that Suzanne was still grieving over losing her mother within the past 2 years or so, and that Mother's Day was going to be a difficult day for her. Binford did not think that Suzanne would choose to spend the day without her girls and husband. Now, from a review of Suzanne Morphew's Instagram account, which was obtained through a search warrant in the state of Colorado, you can see the pics here where on May 6, 4:30 with location Little Rainbow Trail. Again, 4/27/2020 at 4:36 with location Mount Chavano. And on April 20th, 2020 with location of Methodist Mountain and captions first single track and broke my first chain. Smiling emoji. As someone who bikes, this stuff hits me hard too. This is hard. You know, she was enjoying it, getting onto those single tracks, you know, and it's just sad. Like, what happened to her? Man, Barry, just come clean. And so then they get a search warrant for one of the phones. And per the Verizon warrant on one of the phones, it might have been the daughter's phone, the following message was sent on May 10th. And this was over an hour before Martin Ritter reported her missing. And the text goes, "I'm just so sad," and redacted. "And I text mom for Mother's Day and she still hasn't answered. And I'm scared her and dad probably got in a big fight and I don't even know it. It just made me want to be gone even more because I don't want to be around them. It hurts me. And I know if blank is working, I might have to be home a lot more and it'll probably be the worst summer of my life." So obviously one of the daughters sharing that did not want to be home. And she even says, "I text mom for Mother's Day and she still hasn't answered and I'm scared her and dad probably got in a big fight and I don't even know. It just made me want to be gone even more." And so the next piece of evidence is the scratches on Barry's arm. Let's be real. Look at these pictures. Look at this picture. It's obviously done with nails. There's no way that those scratches are, I mean, have you ever been accidentally scratched by somebody? I got into a fight with a kid when I was a teenager. He scratched up my face like crazy. I was like 13 years old or something. Yeah, 13, 14, 15, somewhere. He scratched up my face crazy. It looked this bad. And so I'm telling you, these look like scratches from nails. And so on May 13, 2020, they took photos of the scratches on Barry's left arm. And so another piece of evidence is the K9 search on May 23rd of 2020. On May 23rd, search teams along with K9s and K9 handlers, the Bloodhound Man Trackers Necro search, they searched the Puma Path property. And during this search, 3 different K9s were used. Each of the 3 K9s were ran blindly and individually during the search. On the west area of the driveway parking area, where a flatbed trailer and Bobcat skid steer are parked, all 3 K9s trained final response alerted. Now, the K9s that were used, they have been trained in a specific way to alert their handlers when they detect possible human decomp remains. And so they alerted this on top of the trailer. That's not good. So on the trailer, they're saying there was a body on there. They smell possible decomposition or remains of a human. That ain't good. This definitely is not good. Now, all 3 K9s, they all alerted to this scent on top of the trailer. And it should be noted, on the bed of the trailer, there is gravel and dirt. This is an area the K9s alerted to. All 3 K9s again alerted on the Bobcat, and one of the K9s jumped into the Bobcat and tried to lay down on the driver's seat. The Bobcat located on the Morphew property is identified as a 2018 Bobcat compact skid steer, model S590. And so the flatbed trailer and Bobcat skid steer are parked directly next to each other. Now, this Bobcat, they did remove the SIM of it. The SIM, like our phones, many of them have a SIM card and things like that. On May 28, 2020, Deputy Randy Caricato, with the assistance of FBI agent Donato, removed the SIM card. And this is a subscriber identity module from the CalAmp device. This is the device Agent Graham learned about that Barry had on his Bobcat skid steer. This device utilizes Verizon Connect services and is a GPS tracking device. Now, Special Agent Hoyland speaks with Special Agent Donati and requested a search warrant be applied to obtain what data this SIM card may contain. At present, Barry's use of the Bobcat does not appear to be connected to Suzanne's disappearance. So according to this, the Bobcat does not appear to be connected. They did take it, and so I don't know, this is just more of a, information purposes. So let's talk about the bank accounts that they had. On May 20th of 2020, they served search warrants to Equifax and TransUnion to identify what credit accounts Suzanne and Barry would have currently and or at the time frame of Suzanne's disappearance. This information was necessary to establish a pattern of life for both Suzanne and Barry, as well as proof of life for Suzanne. And so on May 28th, Equifax and TransUnion provided the following are open and active accounts for Suzanne and Barry. Number one, they had an Indiana Members Credit Union account. They had a Capital One Cabela's account. They had a Discover account. They had a Comenity Bank Victoria's Secret account. They had a Fifth Third Bank account, and they had a Credit One account. On June 6, 2020, they served Indiana Members Credit Union with a search warrant requesting bank records for the Morphews. And on June 9th, they received it. With the records, there is documentation that on June 5th of 2020, Barry called the bank and requested his email be changed. Now again, this is after. Why would he need to change anything? It depends on what the email was, right? This part is redacted, so you can't really see it. The Collegiate Peaks Bank. Per search warrant served to Collegiate Peaks Bank on May 26 of 2020, Barry withdrew $5,846.22 in the Suzanne Morphew Foundation account. This was a not-for-profit account that was created because of Suzanne's cancer she was battling. So Barry withdraws $5,800 in the Suzanne Morphew Foundation account, which he basically closes it out. I'm not too sure why you would do that unless you know what happened to your wife. And this account was only opened a few months earlier. Literally, I don't even think it was open for 3 months. So it was opened on March 5th with a deposit of $58.80, and it was basically drawn to a zero on May 26th of 2020. Interesting. Now, there may be a possible second device for Barry that no one can track. On June 11th, they received information from FBI, Special Agent Grusing, and computer scientist Brian Turner that while reviewing the data from the cell phone extraction of Barry's iPhone, they found a second device. This was associated with Barry's iPhone with an SMS, around that time and date. And this user ID is separate from the primary user ID. The second device was first used on November 30th, 2019, and was associated with Barry's iPhone. And, at times, this second device was first used on November 30th, 2019, and it was associated with Barry's iPhone 9. And it only been used a few times compared to the 1,701 associations with the primary user ID of iPhone 9 that primarily belonged to it. And so the dates around this is where it makes it a little weird for Barry. Dates this device was associated with Barry's iPhone since May 5th of 2020. May 5th, May 10th again, 3 times on May 11th, and then one last time on May 2012. And to this day, the second device has not been identified. That is a little suspicious on its own. And so FBI, they're trying to find any proof of life, any fugitive search. FBI, what they would do when looking for any proof of life or they're searching for any fugitive, they got a system in place to try to identify. And so per the request of FBI, with the assistance of FBI Safe Streets Task Force, they did some searches that were done through the FBI and its federal partners in attempts to locate Suzanne as if she was a fugitive or missing person. And so on August 26 of 2020, Agent Brian Palmer, who is with Homeland Security Investigations in Denver, Colorado, had them check border crossings for Suzanne R. Morphew or Suzanne R. Morman. Date of birth 4/30/1971. And the following text was provided. I don't have any land border crossings for her. The last travel I have was her returning from San Jose, Mexico to Dallas, Texas on December 2nd of 2019 on American Airlines Flight 1385. And on August 25th, FBI Special Agent Martin Danielle requested flight information from a national airlines reporting agency and found flights for Suzanne on July 24th, 2019, July 28th, 2019, August 13th, 2019, August 17th, 2019. More flights were located for a Suzanne Morman in April 2020, but this person was not identical to Suzanne. It was not Suzanne, just someone that just so happened to have the same name. Technical Information Specialists and FBI Division, Global Law Enforcement Support Section, and others, NCIC operations. I mean, a lot of people, police unit, investigative, operational assistant group, they all provided emails of the offline records checks for any law enforcement queries of Suzanne. Nothing was found. The spreadsheets provided multiple queries from Chaffee County Sheriff's Office and the CBI from May 10th through the 12th. They also find a query on May 13th and another one by the Loveland Police Department on May 14th, both during the widespread news stories. These are all the inquiries of trying to find her, anything around her. On August 25th of 2020, Special Agent Grusing spoke with the dispatch operator, Joanne. She was with Okeechobee Sheriff's Office and learned that the CBI requested a welfare check for Suzanne Morphew. And this is where they find out that there was a reference check. There was a wellness check from someone other than who we've already heard from, Gene Moorman. Her dad tried to have a welfare check for her. Suzanne was not located. And on August 25th, again, FBI Operations Support Technician said nothing of significance in Suzanne's CLEAR report. No activity seen tied to her since 2019. And CLEAR stands for Community Law Enforcement and Recovery. Suzanne R. Morphew Hope Foundation was first filed in Indiana in 2012. It was registered as a nonprofit with Colorado Secretary of State on February 21st, 2020 by Barry Morphew at the Puma Path Salida residence. I mean, they checked everywhere. Accurate, nothing came up for Suzanne. No electric or utilities were found in her name. Everything was under Barry. I mean, the only thing that they even tied to her was that she actually lived at the Puma Path address. Her social security number had not been used since May 2020. No new physical address, no PO boxes for her name or social security number were located. No liens, no judgments, no loans accrued under her name. They put this photo that you see on here through facial analysis, comparisons, and evaluation, also known as FACE, using this photo, and through the FBI's Criminal Justice Information Service, system. They compare the photo of Suzanne to the issuance of visas and passport, driver's license from 18 states and the Department of the Defense. Nothing. None of these databases have provided any biometrics that match those of Suzanne, given more reasons why they believe she is not alive. Now, several financial related results on Suzanne and Barry were referenced from 2013 to 2018. It appears they had access to large amounts of cash. The reporting parties were concerned about money structuring. So someone reported it because it was a large amount and it was a little odd how they handled it. On June 24th, 2020, Barry made a $20,000 deposit at Collegiate Peaks Bank in Salida on Suzanne's behalf. He has a history of making large cash deposits and wire transfers. And so they did the same checks for Suzanne's proof of life, and when it was conducted in March 2021 by the FBI with the same negative results, nothing came through. Now on June 3rd, 2020, the CBI laboratory, the lab provided the results of DNA analysis for the Chaffee County Sheriff's Office, 65 evidence items to include DNA buccal swabs from the Morphew family members, Andrew Moorman, and others were listed. Of note, no workable DNA was recovered from the Bobcat blade, the new dart box, or the dryer. Now, a dart needle, which was collected by the CCSO, submitted as dart from box in garage, was swabbed and a partial DNA profile was developed. And Barry was included as the contributor with moderate support. Now, should be worth noting that within a month of Suzanne's disappearance, Barry began to liquidate their assets. Now, why would he do that? He doesn't have an attorney to pay for at that time. And so he started, liquidating things. He had a Barry petition for guardianship in Hamilton County, Indiana, of Suzanne for him to act as her guardian. This filing allowed Barry to sign documents on Suzanne's behalf and sell their residences in Indiana and Colorado. And on June 6th of 2020, he closed on the Cal Carson Road, Arcadia, Indiana property with a closing price of $750,000. Now, a search warrant was done against on Bank of West and for accounts associated with Barry and Suzanne. Now, there was a deposit dated February 24, 2020 for $40,000 from Monet. And you've heard me mention that a little earlier. And this was in reference to what she was talking about, like he would get checks that had nothing to do with her. And this was part of that. Now, on June 19th, there is a check written to Barry Morphew in the amount of $30,000. Again, that doesn't really I don't know how this is evidence, but you never know. We'll find out later. On July 1st, 2020, Kent Townsend mentioned that on June 25th, a month earlier, Barry paid $160,000 for the Lot 8 property at Longhorn Ranch in Salida. Barry sold this back to Townsend on February 17, 2021 for $150,000, not given a reason why that happened. Now, on July 13, 2020, Barry initiated a title change for Suzanne's Range Rover, selling it to Troy and Elizabeth Riley of Deputy, Indiana on July 16th. On March 3rd of 2021, it became known that special warranty deed was received from the Puma Path residence that it sold to Mountain Renewal LLC for $1.6 million. My friends, there you have it. A little more longer, trying to cover all of this evidence here, but now you have what evidence they have. Some of this sounds like it's going to hurt them. Some of it sounds like it won't even go very far because they don't seem to really have much. But they did have enough to get a warrant for his arrest. He has since been released on bail, which could very well be the strength of this, that they don't really have concrete evidence that it's him. But that's the evidence that they have. What do you think? Is it going to get them far? Let me know in the comments. Let me know in the comments if you think it's going to get them far, my friends. I'm Manny Rodriguez. If this is the type of stuff you like to hear, make sure you smash on that subscribe button. And I look forward to serving you again. Peace.